This is a good movie podcast with Katie and Joe.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of This is a Good Movie podcast. What?
Nothing. No, keep going.
Joe's laughing at me because I'm holding his hand.
She's holding my hand like we're introducing you guys to our cult.
No, just like, you know, we're co-hosting the podcast together.
Here.
We're a family. I just want everyone to have a sense of that
The
community.
afterlife being us taken away from an alien ship. Yes, I hear you. They hear you.
We're never going to nail this intro. Let's just move ahead.
Okay, we're moving ahead.
I'm Katie Hetledge.
I'm Joe Bates.
And this is a good movie podcast.
And I think that is what people call a Swisheroonie.
What?
We nailed it.
Yeah, we nailed it. Well, we watched a movie
Yeah, we did watch a movie.
of my choosing.
Of your choosing. That is true.
Did you like it?
Okay. All right. You gotta get a hold of yourself. Let's first off, how are you doing? Like, how is life? I know, but the people listening may not know what's going on. Katie lost an arm.
No, I didn't. We're all fine. It snowed today. Wally had a great time in the snow. It was a good day. I'm drinking some tea out of the mug that you got me featuring Nanalan.
Nanalan.
I don't know this little girl's name.
No, I don't think we need to. We know the dog's name.
Here's what happened with Nanalan, okay? This is what happened, is for some reason the algorithm started to show you meme videos
Yes.
of Nanalan. So it would be a little clip of Nanalan, which is a
Nanalan is like a Muppet children's show. Basically.
yeah, a children's show of like a grandma and then a 3-year-old and their Muppets. And they sing songs and have a great time. And so there's these videos of a clip from the show, and then it's like something funny.
Yeah, it'd be like a meme.
meme.
It's like when your girlfriend acts when she's hungry or hangry.
Yeah.
Really stupid married couple long-term relationship type shit.
So Joe's sending these to me. You're
Yes.
sending them to me on Facebook, and the algorithm picks up on that. And now, over time, over the span of like 2 weeks, suddenly I realized that you're no longer sending me meme videos from this show. You're just sending me clips of the show.
That is true. I am just sending you clips of a
Just
children's
normal
TV show.
clips of the show. And then that led to now you purchasing for me a coffee mug featuring the little girl dressed as a princess, and it says, "Who's that wonderful girl?"
Okay, and you say this like you don't love this.
No, I do love it.
Yeah, okay, you say it like now you're just watching children's TV. Like we're not just two children in adult bodies. I'm three boys in a trench coat.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm just this little princess Muppet on my coffee mug.
She is on the own. It's like a snake eating its own tail.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a princess drinking their own. I don't know. But we did it. We watched the movie. We did it.
We did. What? Why are you surprised? We do this every week.
I don't know. I guess I'm just shocked at technology.
And honestly, we watch a lot more movies than just the one that we talk about on the
Yes.
podcast. We watch like so many movies every week. It's not. That can't be good.
I wish you could see the eyes of Katie as she's saying it and having an existential crisis within herself. Like, what is life if not movies?
We're seeing a movie tomorrow.
We are seeing a movie, and we're seeing a bunch of little movies on Sunday.
Yeah, so stay tuned for our thoughts on that. Well, tomorrow we're seeing Madam Web.
Yeah, and if that's not in the Oscars next year, I don't know what will be.
Already a classic. I haven't told you this, I don't think. But on my way to work, like on the corner of my office building, there is a billboard. But it's one of those billboards that's like not very high up. It's on like the 3rd story of a building.
Gotcha.
And right now, it is Dakota Johnson's face for Madam Web.
Yeah.
Before that, it was Julianne Moore and Natalie Portman for May December.
Okay.
So I'm just sitting here wondering, like, who is on this corner? Like, who are they? Like, you know who walks past this corner?
Women.
People who would love May December and Madam Web. Is that me? I don't know.
You're watching both.
We did watch May December, and we are going to watch Madam Web.
Not
You're
to be
right.
big in the letters again, though. May December and Madam Web have a lot of similar letters, so
And
maybe
Ds.
it was just like E's.
Yeah. They're like, we'll reuse some of that.
Yeah, we'll just cover up some of the letters, put some magazine clips.
Honestly, what it is right now is Dakota Johnson's face with like a web shadow over it.
Yeah.
And before it was that poster of Julianne Moore and Natalie Portman's faces like
with a web shadow over it.
like overlapping each other. What
Yeah.
if they just turned one of them into a web shadow?
I'm
And
excited.
the other one got turned into Dakota Johnson.
I am excited for the Madam Web post credits of Natalie Portman acting like Dakota Johnson.
Do you think there will be a post-credit scene?
I have no idea. The only review I've heard of this is it's worse than Morbius.
God.
But let's get into a movie that is not worse than Morbius, and that's the movie you recommended.
Yes, speaking of Julianne Moore, we watched Crazy Stupid Love, classic 2011 rom-com of the rom-coms.
You know what I was surprised to find? It's crazy, stupid, love. I thought it was crazy, stupid love.
No, it's Crazy Stupid Love.
Yeah, it's 3 distinct words. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I never knew that about the movie. I've heard of the movie before.
But you didn't know the comma situation.
Did not know the comma
of the
situation.
movie. Yeah, so the title of the film, they didn't have one for like a long time until they were into filming.
Until 4 weeks after its release.
There's a rumor going around that like the director was auctioning off like an iPad to whoever could come up with a title for this film.
Oh.
Steve Carrell did not like the title of this film. He didn't like Crazy Stupid Love because he was like, what guy is going to go see this movie, a movie called Crazy Stupid Love? He wanted to call it The Wingman.
The Wingman is all right, but you're right that it does. One of the reasons I didn't see it is I thought it was a rom-com, and it's not. It's more guy-based than anything.
Well, it is a rom-com, but yeah, so I do want to talk about in this, and we'll get back to like what you thought it was, but I want us to basically just talk about like the different relationships. And I was thinking like, oh, okay, the parents, and then like the young adult, and then the kids. And then I was like, oh, and we have to talk about the friendship relationship between Steve Carell and Ryan Gosling, because that is a relationship that's like arguably the main relationship of the movie. So they definitely could have called it The Wingman.
The Wingman sounds like it's going to be like a Hangover type movie. It's more like practical jokes and kind of thing, where this is not that.
Yeah, that's a good... Yeah, Wingman does trend a little bro-y. But, okay, so you didn't see this movie because of the
Not see this
title.
movie.
So what did you think this movie was going to be?
I don't think it was too far off. I thought it was Steve Carell and Ryan Gosling doing a little hitch.
Hitch, like
Yeah,
Will
they're
Smith
just doing a
hitch.
bit of a hitch.
I mean, yeah, that's not totally off. That's just like one piece of the movie.
Yeah, that's what I
guess.
thought it was. Was like I didn't know Steve Carell was like divorced trying to get somebody back. I thought he was like just like a 40-year-old virgin kind of character again, who's never had anybody. And oh man, they schlub him up in the beginning of this movie.
Oh, I know. And his like New Balance. And then it's basically that like none of his clothes fit. They're all too big. So he totally looks like a schlub. And then the minute that he wears clothes that fit him, he looks much, much better. So, you know, that's just a point to styling.
I did write, man, this Steve Carell really needs a hitch. What is...
And he gets one.
Why don't you say what the movie actually is?
Yes, okay. I mean, I can't imagine that anyone hasn't seen this film because it's so good. But Steve Carell plays Cal Weaver. He's been married to his wife, Emily, Julianne Moore, for 25 years. And it opens on them out to date night. And you kind of see that, like, they're not talking. They're, like, bored.
I don't have to cut in, but they open with a lot of feet shots.
Yeah,
And
of the other couples.
I initially was like, is this a Tarantino movie?
No. They're all wearing shoes. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like jazz Tarantino. It's what between the sneakers that you don't see.
So
Jazzarino.
they're at date night, and then basically Julianne Moore says she wants a divorce, and then the movie is like they are separating. He's learning from his new friend Jacob, played by Ryan Gosling, who's like a womanizer. They meet at a bar. Jacob is like, takes pity on Cal and is like, I'll teach you how to dress, how to pick up women, how to be like more confident. So he kind of goes on that journey. And then there's a few other there's also like the storyline with their kid. He's like a 13-year-old boy. He's in love with his babysitter, but the babysitter's in love with Steve Carell. Gets tricky.
I gotta be honest. We'll talk in the detail about it, but the babysitter is my least liked aspect of this movie.
Yeah. It didn't age great.
Well, I hope she aged eventually.
she did. Just the storyline, didn't age great.
I mean, it wasn't. I can't imagine that storyline was great at the time either.
I mean, I don't know. I was in high school when this came out, so I guess I was just like, whatever, this is movies.
You were in love with it.
No, you're just kind of like, whatever, it's a movie. So over time, Steve Carell gets into hijinks, but is learning how to be like more confident, maybe get his wife back. And then Ryan Gosling meets Emma Stone and starts to fall for her and realizes maybe his womanizing ways aren't the best thing for him.
This movie opens with Julianne Moore and him getting a divorce, right? But before him, and later in the thing, he jumps out of a car because he don't want to talk to her anymore. In between those scenes, does the Ryan Gosling Emma Stone scene happen?
No.
Okay, so it's like a full-on divorce scene, and then the Ryan Gosling Emma Stone scene happens.
We don't meet Ryan Gosling until Steve Carell goes to the bar.
No, that doesn't make any sense because Ryan Gosling has to do the Emma Stone pickup first.
Yeah, okay, I guess you're right. We do see Ryan Gosling on his own at the bar.
Yeah, because Steve Carell shows up at that bar later. So Ryan Gosling's at that bar to pick up Emma Stone, and it doesn't work out. And then that relationship is just gone for an hour of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, we still see Emma Stone doing things, but she's like dating Josh Groban. Okay, gosh. I mean, we literally just watched this movie. Why can't I remember?
I don't know why you can't remember. God. This is a movie you've watched multiple times.
Well, that's the problem, I think, is that I know it too well. So I know the plot, but the order of scenes.
Yeah, because it has to happen. I think the dinner scene and the bar scene are kind of like they're cutting between the both scenes in the movie to show like how they're handling their relationships.
That makes sense. Let's go with that.
Okay.
So if people want to watch this movie before we like jump even further into it, what do you think they should have for a snack?
Oh, well, this is your movie, so you would be the best one to pick a snack for this.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought...
I did the Detroit-style pizza with blood and bullets for RoboCop.
Gross. They don't... I don't know, like sushi? This is just a very LA movie. Like it's filmed in LA.
Yeah, I think sushi makes sense for this.
But if you want a dessert, you could have mint chip ice cream because they do reference their first date being an ice cream date.
Yeah.
The main characters.
Okay, so there you have it.
Okay.
Sushi and mint cream ice cream.
Mint chip.
Mint
Why
chip.
Are you having a stroke?
Yeah. Oh, you never had mint cream?
Oh my
the
God.
cream of the mint?
And you can watch this movie on Hulu.
Yeah,
that's where
you
we watch it, right?
Hulu.
Yeah, perfect.
Exactly. What was the budget for this before we get into it and all that stuff?
Sure. We'll love to tell you.
I think we need that because I forgot to do it for RoboCop.
Do you want to
And I'll just, if you guys are wondering, RoboCop was $14 million budget, $53 million box office, and Crazy Stupid Love.
It's more than that.
Well, it makes sense. There was a lot less murder.
There was a $50 million budget for this.
Okay.
Which there's a lot of star power in this.
Well, that's
cast.
going to be my follow-up question: is when this movie is and where
2011.
Is this after Steve Carell does like Bruce Almighty, like Evan Almighty? Like where is that? Like Steve Carell's like peak Steve Carell in this movie.
I mean, this is after The Office.
Yeah. So, but I'm saying this is after 40-Year-Old Virgin, where he became like a movie star.
Yeah.
And
this is like after his comedies, but before he takes the dramatic turn.
Gotcha. And this is before Blade Runner 2049?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Ryan Gosling's such a weird actor because The Notebook was what, the late 90s?
No, 2000s.
That's at 2000s? I don't know why I think that's a 90s movie. But he was like, he's been a star for a long time, but he's
he's a child star. He was in Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah, but that's yes.
And then he was in Remember the Titans as like a teenager.
He was Sunshine.
He has been around.
That's what I'm saying. He just had a very long career that
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind of like, I guess he's always been an A-list star, but he's just never been, he's like he lives in a different part of Hollywood than everybody else.
Well, I think he does. Like, famously, he and his wife Eva Mendes are like really, really private. They're very offline.
That makes sense then.
Yeah. They keep their kids totally private. Like, they, I think, are in a different Hollywood than a lot of other people. I don't think they have social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So back to the budget. 50 million. Box office 145.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty good for a rom-com kind of for guys.
Yeah, I mean, but it's 2011, so you can definitely still make money at the box office for a rom-com.
Yeah.
That's still a possibility.
In the beginning of the movie, because they're going back between those two scenes between Ryan Gosling and Steve Carell.
Yeah,
I did write down that they showed the babysitter with his kid. Mm-hmm. I did write down, I hope this whole movie is just this night.
No. If you want a Steve Carell movie that's just that night, then you should watch Date Night with Tina Fey.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have seen that movie.
Oh, okay. Well, then we won't watch it. And honestly, I think I've only seen it a couple times. It wasn't really my favorite.
I love that. Not really my favorite. I've seen it 2 times.
Well, like you see it once in theaters and then you watch it maybe one more time. Have you seen Game Night?
Have I seen Game Night?
I feel like I asked you this a lot.
Is that the one with Jeremy Renner?
No.
Jason Sudeikis?
No, it's Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams and Jesse Plemons.
Oh, that's like where it's like scary, right?
No, it's not scary. It's a comedy.
Then no, I have not seen Game Night.
That is such a good movie. Like, that is such an underrated movie. Okay, we'll put that on the list for a future time. But let's talk about this movie. Sorry.
Unless you guys want more Madam Web.
No, we'll save that for next week after we've seen it.
Yeah, that will the follow up to Madam Web.
People want to know.
When I first saw Emma Stone in this bar, she's just talking to her friend about how hot and sexy Conan O'Brien is.
Yeah.
And I wrote down, I think Katie thinks she was this Emma Stone character when she was in her 20s.
No, but I do think that seeing that, so this came out 2011. I was graduating high school. Going into college. And I think that seeing Emma Stone in this movie, because she plays such a like awkward person, like she's not cool or chill, I was like, oh, I could do that. Like, wait, she's doesn't have it together at all and is really weird, and she still gets Ryan Gosling. So like,
Yeah.
I could just be strange.
And you got Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
If anything, you got a little bit better than the Gosling. You got the Ryan Gander.
What?
It's like a
Oh my
goose.
God.
I'm a bunch of geese together, tied together for the struggling. Help these geese! Somebody help these geese!
You're 3 geese in a trench coat.
I'm 3 geese in it. I'm a gander in a trench coat. I think this. So there's like 4 storylines in this movie.
Yeah, let's talk about the relationships, and we
Yes.
can kind of go in any order. So we've got Steve Carell, Julianne Moore, the mom and dad.
I'm glad they got divorced.
We've got Ryan Gosling, Jacob, and Emma Stone's Hannah. And then we've got this 17-year-old babysitter,
Yes.
played by Leo Tipton, and the 13-year-old son of Steve Carell and Julianne Moore, which they're not really like in a relationship, but we'll group them together for these purposes. And then we, of course, have the friendship or mentorship, I don't really know what to call that, between Steve Carell and Ryan Gosling. Any favorites you want to dive into?
We can go into the Julianne Moore Steve Carell thing. We've already talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm glad they got divorced. And honestly, I don't know.
Seems like it worked out for them.
Yeah.
Like they both have become maybe better versions of themselves.
I mean, the big takeaway of this movie is don't get married in high school, no matter what.
They got married when they were 17 because they got pregnant with a kid.
Yeah, and because I feel like getting married in high school leads to this type of situation of like, what am I doing? I've only known this.
I don't know that it always leads to it, but it does make sense.
if you're listening to this and you married your high school sweetheart, get rid of them right now.
So they are getting divorced. Julianne Moore says she wants a divorce, and she reveals that she has slept with someone else.
Is that the best time to do a divorce? When do you think is the best time to tell somebody you want to get a divorce?
What? I don't know.
Oh, that was a test. Because I was hoping you didn't say on this podcast.
No, I have truly no idea.
I just thought it was like abrupt, but then I was like, I don't know how else you're going to do it. You got to just do it. You got to pull the Band-Aid off, and that's what she did. So I respect Julianne Moore for that.
Okay. And so I wouldn't even call it an affair. It sounds like she just kind of hooked up with someone at work, Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
David Lindhagen.
Lindhagen.
No, Lindhagen.
Yeah, he's a weird character in this movie because I feel like he is pretty in love with Julianne Moore.
He does like her a lot. He keeps showing up, keeps taking her out, even though the kids are mean to him.
Yeah, it's weird. He's like, no, this lady's the one, and everyone's like, you suck. He gets punched in the face. They're like,
Yeah.
boo you. He's like, I don't know. He's like, what does he say? He's like, I'm an accountant. This stuff never happens. Like, I think this is great.
He's just there along for the ride.
Yeah.
There for the excitement. So they take some time apart. I think they do get back together in the end. It seems like they miss each other. They have some conversations.
Yeah, Julianne Moore and Steve Carrell definitely get back together in the end. I think that is the takeaway of this movie.
You feel like they're good together?
I feel like this is tough because, again, I understand they were ready in high school. I think it's fine that they got together again, but kind of wish they just moved on a little bit and just went their different directions. But they got kids, so it makes it difficult.
They do have kids, and I feel like they still care about each other a lot, and they kind of just needed like a shakeup.
Yeah, a little space.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, again, I'm fine with them getting back together. Just kind of, if I'm really thinking what I'm thinking, they should have just went their separate ways.
Okay. Anything else to say about that relationship?
Julianne Moore, and she is like, I'm not saying she is very hateable, but when is the last time you've seen Julianne Moore in a movie where she is very likable the whole time?
Well, I was thinking as I was watching this, I was like, she does cheat on her husband a lot, or cheat on her spouse a lot in movies. Like this one, May December.
Not very likable in May December.
The kids are all right.
I haven't seen that, but it sounds like she's not likable in that.
Not especially.
Freedom Land, which is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. She does her full Boston accent like 30 Rock, and she's like searching for a kid.
Uh-huh.
She's like searching for her kid, but she's the one that lost the kid, and the kid's like been dead. And it's like, this person's bad. And I've just never gotten off of that.
I think she's likable in Still Alice.
Okay.
I've seen that.
No, I've not seen that.
She gets Alzheimer's.
Oh, well, the only way to make Julianne more likable is she's got to forget who she is.
I don't know. I guess she's just drawn to these characters that are...
She's hard. She's a hardened soul.
Yeah. Steve Carell's very likable.
Steve Carell is very likable until they're like, and I don't know if we want to go chronological with the movie, what's going on with it, but like, or I'm going way ahead of myself near the end. But the chaotic scene where everything kind of culminates in this one big scene.
Yeah, there's like a fight scene.
Man, he is a dick. Like, he turns like angry, like this deep-seated thing that's deep within him where he just hates everybody. And he blames Julianne Moore for all of it.
I don't think so.
Oh, he was like, well, he says the line about the house. He tells her, he's like, this is your fault. This wouldn't happen.
Well, he tells someone else to leave the house, and she says, it's not your house anymore. Pretty harsh.
Yeah.
After he did a big thing, he put together a little mini golf course to try and kind of woo her, reference, their first date back when they were teens. And then some crazy things happen that are not great for him.
No.
So I get that he's upset. He tries to tell people to leave the house. She says, this isn't your house anymore. And he says, you made sure of that. So I don't know. I didn't take it as him being like a total dick.
To me, Well, when we talk about Jacob and Steve Carell's characters' relationship, I'll get to like the alternative version of this movie that is happening in my head.
Well, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we could talk about that.
Okay.
This is what I wrote down about these two friends, which is Ryan Gosling mentoring them how to be like
Cool.
basically how to do the game, the
Yeah.
book, the game,
Yes.
which is another thing about this movie. It's a very specific time period where the game is kind of popular. Mm-hmm. Phones have the thing where you can move the top part and there's a keyboard
The,
underneath.
slide up.
Yeah, the little slide thing, and yet nobody like. Apps aren't as big a deal yet. Mm-hmm. It's just a very weird time period that, in the fashion, is so strange.
Yeah. It's it's the 2010s.
Yeah, it's when finance bros were like a respected group of people.
Yeah, exactly.
But I did write their relationship that this movie could easily have been a serial killer Hitch movie because I feel like Jacob is a sociopath.
Like he might just be murdering all of these women that he's
murdering
taking
these women, and he takes Steve Carell under his wing to murder women because women have done him wrong, and that is just kind of what's happening in the movie.
That's a very different movie.
It's a very different movie. I said there's a real American Psycho vibe from Ryan Gosling.
Now, most of their friendship takes place in this one specific bar.
The worst bar
that
in the
you
world.
hate. Yeah, I didn't realize. I think because when I watched this, I had not been going to bars, so
Yes.
I genuinely was like, "This must be what bar life is like. Like this will be what I go to when I'm older. I don't know. This is what I expect." Now watching it, I'm like, it's so loud. It looks cold.
It looks terrible. The
Everyone
drinks don't
seems
look good.
rude.
There's
Yeah.
no fancy drinks. I would best describe this bar as the fanciest bar in a suburb.
It's almost like a hotel bar. Like it's just very
it's too
generic.
big for a hotel. It's like so open.
Yeah.
It's so open. There's no real comfiness to it.
Right.
And bartending, I think, sucks in it. If I had to be honest, the few bartender scenes, I think they were rude.
Well, yeah, they are. It's intentional.
But it just feels like, and it feels like a place where middle-aged men would go drink to pick up what they think women would be at. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of these bars in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
They're
Noted.
terrible, terrible places. And then you have, Ryan Gosling. Mm-hmm. So let's go down the list of what Ryan Gosling does in this movie.
Okay.
He convinces Steve Carell to lie to women and take advantage of them, that they feel like they need him more than her. Mm-hmm. Kind of like gaslighting.
Yeah, he's a pickup artist.
Yeah, he's
doing this pickup game that was very popular at that time period. You know, this is like in the How I Met Your Mother time period where Barney Stinson is like picking up a different woman like that's what we're working with here. So I think that was of the time.
He is super rich because his dad left him a lot of money because his dad died young. Mysterious circumstances.
No, you're the only one that thinks this. He just says that his dad died.
Yeah, he said his dad was a soft man and his mom was a harsh woman. I'm thinking that they were both in on it.
No,
It was
oh
a
my
murder of the
gosh.
dad.
It's like a throwaway line and you are fixating on it.
Well, because there is no comeuppance for Ryan Gosling. He gets everything he wants.
Yeah.
No bad things happen to him. And then at the end, he's still mentoring Steve Carell. Steve Carell at no point mentors him, which is what should have happened in this movie.
I don't think that every character in every movie needs an arc. Like, he has one. It's okay that he doesn't have a comeuppance. He does learn to not be so much of a womanizer.
Yeah, he just gets the perfect lady for him, and it just works out. Nothing.
I think he has some internal conflict around this.
In the movie, he's like picking up women. Then he meets Emma Stone for the second time, who's like her boyfriend, Josh Groban, treats her poorly. Mm-hmm. And then she runs to him. Mm-hmm. They go back. Nice night. Mm-hmm. Honestly, the Emma Stone, Ryan Gosling chemistry is crazy.
Well, they've done a lot of movies together at this point. So they were also in La La Land together after this. And they have a great chemistry. And because of that great chemistry, most of the scene that you're talking about when they're like chatting in bed, staying up all night, is improvised. They were just like, they didn't have a script. They were like, you guys can just chat about kind of whatever because you're so great at this.
That whole scene upset me because that was like hour 10 in the movie. And I was like, this should have been more what the movie is about. Because Emma Stone is very underutilized in that first hour of the movie. They show her
well,
in the
I
bar.
think they intentionally don't focus too much on her because otherwise you're going to be like, why are we focusing so much on this random person that's just there to get with Ryan Gosling? That seems weird. There must be something else going on. And I think that the twist with Emma Stone is like so good.
The twist that happens in the movie I did not see coming.
It's such a surprise. And I just remember when I first watched it being like, what? Are you kidding? And then you're like, oh, it's so obvious. But then when I was watching it again with you, I was like, oh my gosh, because you love to predict twists. You love to predict the end of movies. And I was like, please don't guess this. Please don't get this. Because it's such a satisfying discovery. And as I was watching it, was like, they do a pretty good job of not giving this away. Like, they cover their tracks pretty well.
I honestly think what helps me is that I don't know how famous these people are when the movie is out. So, like, I'm like...
This is after Superbad. This is a year after Easy A.
Yeah, I guess that I don't know. I know it was after Superbad because she's older and she's like a high school kid
I
in
think
Superbad.
it's after Spider-Man.
Oh, if it's after Spider-Man, then I would have...
2011?
Yeah, I would have thought there was more to this than what was going on. But, I mean, those two together are great. I just was surprised at it because I was like, okay, well, you just have this person in the movie. I don't know why you wouldn't use them more.
Yeah.
She's such a good actress.
So the twist, and if you haven't watched the movie and you want to...
Stop.
Either stop and go watch it right now or just fast forward through the next 2 minutes. But the twist, here we go, the twist... is that Emma Stone is the daughter of Steve Carell and Julianne Moore. That's the daughter that they had when they were 17. That's why they got married. And then you come to find out that now she is dating Ryan Gosling, and Steve Carell does not like this at all.
No, he is not.
And that's why they get in this big fight at the house. And Steve Carell does come off a little bit like a jerk, but I don't know. Like, I get where he's coming from. He probably takes it a little bit too far. He holds the grudge for a little too long.
Well, which is what goes back to my original thing. If this is a serial killer movie and Steve Carell's like, stay away from her, I'm like, this is so much better now. No, I know too much.
Yeah. No, it's just that he knows that Ryan Gosling, his dating history, and he's like, you're going to treat my daughter like garbage, and she's better than that, so don't do that.
Another reason Ryan Gosling never gets his comeuppance is none of the women that he sleeps with ever come back into the picture or are mad at him. There seems to be new repercussions for one-night stands.
I know. I think he must just be like really good at playing that game. He must give them like a gift or something when they leave his house.
Yeah, I know. This is one thing I know about women. You give them a great night, a passionate night, and the next day you give them a gift, and they're like, I'll never talk to him again.
That's a thing that some celebrities do.
Wait, what?
Yes, they will send you away with a gift basket.
If you sleep with a celebrity, when you're done...
Someone like... Oh gosh, I just spilled my tea everywhere.
Not a land. Are you a little mad?
No, I'm a little bit feeling like I peed my pants.
Well, luckily we don't have any videos, so people have to determine whether Katie actually spilled tea in this episode or did pee her pants.
Okay. There is a rumor that Derek Jeter would give away swag bags to one-night stands.
Derek Jeter shouldn't have been in the Hall of Fame. Okay. I guess I don't know why I'm more okay with athletes doing that than like actors.
I don't know. I'm
but
just
it
saying,
makes
like,
sense for athletes to be like, "Oh, you want a souvenir? I'll sign a ball for your kid."
Yeah, who knows? There's so much going on in this movie already that, like, we really couldn't handle any more storylines.
When that happens, though, when, like, the reveal, it's like 20 minutes left in the movie.
Yeah. It is very much towards the end. So the
timing is all crazy in this movie.
The original version of this movie was 3 hours long, and then they had to cut it to 2 hours.
Who's the director's name?
I wrote it down. There's 2 directors.
One for the good parts of the movie and one for the bad parts.
Glenn Ficarra and John Requa.
Okay, a couple French guys.
They also, I don't know, they directed Whiskey Tango Foxtrot with Tina Fey, and I Love You, Philip Morris with
Jim Carrey.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. And they wrote some episodes of The Angry Beavers on Nickelodeon.
So everyone, if you really like this movie, just hashtag release the Farquhar cut.
I mean, I would watch it.
I'd watch a 3-hour version of this movie because I feel like that last 30 minutes is so rushed. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that happens, like there's parts of this movie that feel very rushed. Mm-hmm. So that makes sense that it was such a long initial cut of the movie.
I would definitely watch a 3-hour version of this movie. But remember that in 2011, we were not watching 3 hours. I mean, you had Lord of the Rings and like that's it for that length of film.
You should never have a rom-com be 3 hours long. I don't care if it's now. There's no reason to ever have a 3-hour version of that movie.
I mean, you just said you would watch it.
I'd watch it, but I wouldn't watch it initially. If you told me we were going to go see a rom-com, like, how long is it? Like, 180 minutes? Then I divide that by 60, and I go, I don't think we should go.
Yeah, but what if in that rom-com you had Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone, Steve Carell,
Make it a miniseries.
Kevin Bacon, Marissa Tomei. I mean,
Put it on Apple TV.
No, it needs to be all at once. You need to watch this movie. You can only watch this movie all at once because you can't take any time to process what's happening.
You need to watch this movie all, at, once.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so this, we've kind of like left this part out of the movie, which is the third relationship.
The kids?
The kids. Mm-hmm. I think Robbie, Steve Carell's kid, who is in love with the babysitter, but the babysitter's in love with Steve Carell, is very good in this.
Yeah, he was in Zathura. Have you ever seen that?
I have not seen Zathura, but that was Alien Jumanji.
Yes, Zathura slaps. That movie, so good. So good.
This episode is basically just other movies we've watched.
That's every episode.
Yeah.
Okay. Adding that to the list. But yeah, the kid is good.
The kid is good in it. The kid is given... I feel like this exact movie is fine if it's a girl he's 13 in the movie, he likes the babysitter 17. If it's him trying to get a girl his age to like him. And you have this same exact movie.
A lot of the conflict comes from this relationship. So he's in love with his babysitter, and he makes that very well known to her. He's like constantly telling her that he loves her, and she's like, please stop. You are too young for me. I'm uncomfortable. Not a lot of great like boundary.
No, and Steve Carell's like, keep going for it. But he doesn't know exactly what he's doing.
And then meanwhile, the babysitter is in love with Steve Carell, has this big crush on him, and eventually resorts to taking naked photos of herself, printing them out, putting them in an envelope with Steve Carell's name on it, Cal, with hearts, and then does nothing with them. So then her mom finds the photos and shows the dad, and then the dad runs over, and that's when the big fight happens, where Steve Carell is also realizing that his daughter's dating Ryan Gosling, and like there's so much going on.
I don't remember the dad's actor name, although I do love that actor. He's in the Drew Carey show. He was the one that got married to Mimi. But I wrote down, I love likable David Koechner.
He has one of the best lines in the movie, I think, which is at the beginning. So he goes to meet Steve Carell at the crazy bar to be like, hey, man, sorry about the divorce. That's awful. And he's like, my wife said that we had to pick one of you to stay friends with. And I picked you, of course, but she said no. And then he just gives him some cologne from Macy's and leaves.
Yeah. And leaves him to his own devices.
Yep.
this is so the kid Robbie, terrible haircut, which they mentioned in the movie.
Well, it's the shaggy 13-year-old haircut of 2011.
But it feels like that at the very end of the movie that Steve Carell and Julianne Moore look at their son like, I hate that haircut.
Yeah.
Which they've never talked about at all in the movie. It's almost like the people making the movie are like, say something about that haircut because we all hate it.
I think they're just trying to demonstrate some bonding over it. Robbie gets into a bit of trouble because he is texting the babysitter in class, and she says to stop texting her, and then he like just goes on a tirade in English class about love being for assholes.
Yeah.
And then we find out that there's a parent-teacher conference to talk about that. We find out that his teacher is Marissa Tomei, who Steve Carell had gone home with previously from the bar, and that does not go well.
Ryan Gosling pushes Steve Carell to go out to Marissa Tomei in the bar because, you know, she is an attainable lady. And I'm like, Marissa Tomei is the best looking person in this bar. You're lucky. You're lucky to even talk to Marissa Tomei.
I know. She's gorgeous, but she is like a nut in this
Oh,
movie.
I wrote down Steve Carell, Marissa Tomei. Like, how do you have one night with her and not go, well, actually, maybe I should date her?
Because she's kind of a crazy person.
That's perfect.
Well, and that was the first person that he had like hooked up with since his wife.
Yeah.
So I think he just wasn't really thinking about a relationship at that point.
I hate. What are they? This is just. I think this is the most insane movie Katie has made me watch so far.
It is called Crazy, Stupid,
Love.
I think it lives up to the name.
Yeah, it is. It is a bit weird. And go back. Oh, the kid stuff. I said not loving the licorice pizza B plot.
Yeah, I hate that movie. Yeah, I mean, thankfully, there's really nothing in the movie that is like illegal happening. Just some uncomfortable things.
Well, there's like one kind of illegal thing near the very end when she gives.
She does end up giving the babysitter gives her photos to the kid.
The naked photos of a 13-year-old.
Yeah,
kid,
that's not great.
Does that mean her parents gave her back the photos, or did she take new photos?
Good point. You would think they would definitely throw those away.
I would cut them up first.
Oh, the scene. So you didn't really mention this. The scene with Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, where they have gone back to his place.
Yes.
Because she went to the bar to then find him. Mm-hmm. So they go back to his place, and then there's a little scene that you are familiar with because you did it for an acting class.
Yeah, I mentioned the end of the last podcast.
But you had never seen the film. So now that you've watched it, is it what you thought it would be?
Well, I'll tell you a note I kept getting when I did the scene from the teacher. Mm-hmm. She goes, "You need to be more awkward in the scene, not so suave." And I was like, "This is Ryan Gosling.
He's pretty suave.
He's pretty suave the whole time." I think I was right for my choices in the scene.
I think you were too. Yeah.
Because he's like still playing it cool. It's like, yeah, well, this girl's a little bit different. You got to like, notice her. But when I watched it, I was like, what did they think the scene? Like, what were they trying to give? Maybe it's because I look the way I look. Too hot. More hotter than Ryan Gosling.
Maybe they wanted you to be more like Emma Stone.
They wanted me to be a Brian Gander.
So Ryan Gosling, when he first,
again that whole scene, everything Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone together is the best part of the movie.
Yeah, they're really great together. They do have good chemistry. I'm excited to eventually watch La La Land with you for this because you haven't seen it. Mm-hmm. They do the Dirty Dancing pick up, the Dirty Dancing lift.
Yes, I do. And again, because they have such great chemistry. When she asks him, like, what his big move is to get women to have sex with him, he just says dirty dancing.
No, he says dirty dancing. I work dirty dancing into the conversation.
And he can just do the move where you lift the girl up. He's like, I can just do that. It's not even an issue.
Yeah, I couldn't find the truth on this, but some sources say that Ryan Gosling suggested this dirty dancing bit because he has a dancing background from, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. or not Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. That's a children's show. The Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah.
So he like suggested it and they were like, yeah, that's great. Let's go with it. There's other people that say that Ryan Gosling, this is a move that he would do to pick up women. And then they were like, we should do that in the movie. And he was like, no, let's not do that. And they were like, no, we're doing it. So I don't know if he was on board with it or not. The other piece of this is that when they first did it, Emma Stone freaked out because she realized as it was happening that she has like a big fear of being lifted into the air. And so she like panicked and had to run to her trailer and like recoup in her bed. Like it was crazy. So it's a body double. She
Really?
like couldn't she
That's
couldn't
why they
do
shoot
it
it from outside the house and all that stuff. That makes sense.
She could not get it together.
That's crazy. This is my notes. Like you can kind of tell before they have the movie, where they go back to his place. I wrote the Emma Stone stuff feels absolutely not worth it at all. Seeing Emma Stone in later movies, you realize how good an actress she is. Where at this time, it's hard to realize.
Sure.
Because she's not given much.
Yeah.
This really needed more Emma Stone. What's Ryan Gosling's job? I really wish the
don't know.
babysitter stuff wasn't in the movie. Should have been replaced with the extra Emma Stone scenes. That is 4 notes in a row.
I will give you that. Emma Stone is delightful. I mean, she's great in just about everything.
I just think it would have been neat to show Emma Stone and Josh Groban in like the same kind of relationship her parents were right before they got divorced.
Oh, sure.
And I think that would have been cool to see, because then it's like now it feels like it's 3 stories. That's just my. That's just my.
I think it's fine to have less Josh Groban in this. His character is pretty insufferable.
Yeah, wow, he does a good job at that. Oh, and then after that, I go, Ryan Gosling is a bad guy and friend. Emma is too good for him.
Yeah. So when Ryan Gosling like first took on this role, he did a lot of research for it, like read pickup line books and all of that, and he came up with a character that was really based on like the Jersey Shore guys.
Yeah.
Which I think is why he kind of has that weird accent in it.
I wrote this feels Jersey.
Yeah, so he went very Jersey Shore with it and then showed up with that and they were like, no.
So he only does it for that one scene.
So I think there is a bit of that still in his character, but he ultimately moved away from that. But I do think you can still see some like remnants of that. He also just before this had filmed Blue Valentine.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen that?
I have not.
Very dark romance, sad. So he did that, and then he tells a story where he went to a doctor, like just for a regular physical exam, and the doctor prescribed him a comedy. He was like, you should really go do a comedy now. And he was like, okay. So then he did this comedy.
What a life.
And it made him feel better.
Man, what a life to just kind of have that.
Yeah.
Hey, go do a movie that just makes millions of dollars.
Yeah.
That'll make you feel better. It did.
Well, I don't think it was about the money necessarily. I think it was the subject matter. But yeah, so if only there were more Emma Stone. Emma Stone and Anna Lee / Lee, she goes by Leo now, Tipton, same age.
Oh.
They were both like 21, 22 when filming this.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Well, how old is Ryan Gosling when this movie is being made?
He is 8 years older than them.
Okay, that's too much. You can't have an 8-year difference between 2 people, I think.
It's fine, but I do think this reminds me a bit of Silver Linings Playbook, where when I was watching it the first time, when I was in high school, I was like, I can tell there's an age difference, but like, it's whatever, I guess. And now watching it, I'm like, they seem so young.
Yeah.
Like, Emma Stone does not seem like she is taking the bar exam right now. She feels too young for that. So, I don't know, something about Hollywood, age gaps, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Well, we
Enough said about
finally
that.
We took them down. Remember,
I know.
hashtag the Farquhar cut. Release it, please.
It's not Farquhar. It's Requa.
Well,
You're combining their names. It's Ficara and Requa.
okay, again,
Farquhar.
Release the Farquhar cut. Gar. It sounds like a Pokemon. Gar. I think that's. I mean, that's in the end. Everybody gets together. There's a big middle school
Graduation.
graduation,
Like 8th grade
speech
graduation.
from the salutatorian.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want.
This is middle school graduation speech. Is a writer saying, "Yeah, sure, it works. Don't think about it." He is the salutatorian.
Yes,
So
Robbie,
second.
the kid.
He is giving a speech about how love is not real. There is no
Yep.
such thing as soulmates. And then Steve Carrell cuts in to give a speech of why soulmates are real. And there's this big deal. The salutatorian gives their speech before the valedictorian.
Yeah.
So
Someone's got to follow.
There is a
Steve
13-year-old kid who's just like, oh my gosh, this is all cartoon based. This is all SpongeBob puns.
I don't think a valedictorian is doing a SpongeBob pun.
A middle school graduation?
There's some serious middle schoolers out there.
What a bunch of losers. That was the other thing.
Okay.
Robbie should be the most picked on kid ever. We need bullies.
There's no room in this movie for anyone else.
I understand there's no room in this movie, but this kid, everyone seems pretty chill with this insane little boy, and he should be bullied.
I mean, he's having a tough time already. His parents are getting divorced.
Yeah, he seems to be taken out on the
His
chin pretty well.
babysitter doesn't love him back. He's going through it.
You were a babysitter. Did you
Yeah.
ever have any kids like tell you they love you or anything like that?
Obviously not. And I babysat kids who were like way younger than me.
Okay.
So these were not conversations we were having. Also, I didn't babysit that much because I wasn't good at it and I didn't like it.
Oh, you lost that kid.
I didn't lose a kid. I didn't come naturally to me.
Great.
I started babysitting because it was like the thing that you did and it was the only job you could have before you're like 15, 16 and labor laws, etc. So I was like, okay, I'll babysit in the neighborhood. And so I had a few families that I babysat for, but like I was so bad at it. And I was just like, I guess this is just how it is. People just don't like babysitting, but you do it anyway. And then eventually I like went to college and met girls who would nanny over the summer and stuff, and they were so good at babysitting, and I was like, it's just not for me.
Great. That's good. I can't wait till you have kids. So I'm gonna give my good, bad, normal takeaway here.
Great.
But I'm changing it up a bit.
Okay.
This is a crazy takeaway.
Okay.
Marissa Tomei and Steve Carell should have ended up together, and that should have been the movie. Steve Carell needed to be going crazy with this lady. They needed to go to Tahiti. They should have gone on a trip. There should have been sequels about just their relationship.
I mean, I definitely would watch the two of them in a movie. Mm-hmm. They should just make another movie.
They should just make... Okay, they should make another movie.
Yeah.
This is a stupid takeaway, and I did just... Robbie needed to be bullied. That's my stupid takeaway.
That is stupid. We should never advocate for bullying. Never.
That's because we get paid by big anti-bully.
No.
It's our biggest sponsor.
Yeah.
And then this is a love takeaway, and it is I love Emma Stone in Ryan Gosling. Those two. I mean, it's so. Ryan Gosling may be a serial killer, sociopath in this movie that we secretly don't know about.
No, he's so charming.
Exactly. Everything goes his way. It's insane. Nothing goes bad for him. Everyone's like, well, is Ryan Gosling our new dad now? And Steve Carell's like, maybe. Everyone's all right with it. It's crazy. And he's like good with mothers and kids and no problem at all.
Yeah. They're both great, and that's why they are both nominated for Oscars this year.
Yeah, they are really good. And they're really good in the movies that they're in. Okay, that's it. That's my takeaways.
Well, who would you cast Wally as?
Ooh, who would I cast Wally as in this movie? That's a good question. I didn't think about that.
Well, you should have.
I gotta be honest, the person that acts the most like Wally in this movie is Kevin Bacon.
Wally and Kevin Bacon, basically the same person.
He loves bacon. He turned his head to look. He goes, "You have bacon?" Yeah, Wally is that character. Sure, Wally tore a marriage apart.
He would.
But he was just puppy love. He just following Julianne Moore around. He didn't do anything wrong. Honestly, Marissa Tomei, Steve Carell, Kevin Bacon, Julianne Moore, I think that's a fine end too.
Yeah, I guess they both had some good options besides each other, but it's about who your soulmate is.
Which, unless you're the babysitter, because her soulmate was Steve Carell, that was a failure.
I don't think she ever really called him her soulmate.
Oh, I see. So it's like once you say the words, the spell is cast.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha, it's wizard shit.
All right, well, watch out, Kevin Bacon, because Wally's taking all your roles.
That's rough.
Okay, well, Joe, do you think this is a good movie?
I gotta be honest. This isn't as easy to say on this one because the colorization's weird. Like the film is like the actual cinematography of this movie is very bad. That
part isn't great.
The outdoor mall stuff is really bad. There's some really bad scenes in this movie.
You don't like the shopping montage?
Did not like I don't like the slapping in the face. I thought that was like stupid. Like it didn't make sense for this character to start slapping him.
I think it was like an alpha thing.
Yeah, again, don't love that.
Sure.
Don't love that Ryan Gosling got no comeuppance in it. I don't love that Robbie wasn't bullied.
Okay.
I think there's so much flaws in this movie. But that Emma Stone Ryan Gosling scene is so good that this is a good. It's simply just for that scene alone.
They're like magic together.
Because I really was like honestly up in the air about this movie because there's like so many weird things about it. And the babysitter whole thing is like terrible.
It is unnerving, yeah.
But I'm surprised this movie made any money.
What?
I am surprised at that, but I think it's a good movie simply for Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling having a chat.
Okay, well, you wait until we watch a film where the two of them are in the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, the reason this got a good movie is because it is better than Spy Kids, and I probably should have said Spy Kids wasn't a good movie.
Well, but you can't because Spy Kids is a good movie. That's the issue. All right.
Spy Kids is the bar for me right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I just have said that Mystery Men is not great, so...
Well, and that's okay.
Okay, well, do you want to suggest another movie for us to watch?
So you've been doing Oscar stuff.
Yes.
And I've been thinking, oh my gosh, I should do Oscar stuff. I did RoboCop. That one, it didn't win any Oscars.
Well, to be clear, this movie was not nominated for any Oscars.
Oh yeah, there's no awards for this show.
There were like a smattering
but not any Academy. They weren't nominated for anything.
I would say the biggest award nomination that they got was Ryan Gosling was nominated for a Golden Globe.
Yeah.
Emma Stone did win the People's Choice Awards and the Teen Choice Awards.
Yeah, I don't care about these other awards. There's not Golden Globes Academy is the only thing I really care about with this stuff.
But it's just that Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling are both nominated for Oscars this year. So,
not the costuming department.
God no.
So I thought about it and I go, oh my gosh, I'll do Drive with Ryan Gosling. You know, that's a movie you haven't seen that I've seen that I love Ryan Gosling in. Then I thought, no, we can't do
back-to-back Gosling.
Bossalia for Gosling. I don't know what that means. That was a word I made up. Then I thought, oh my God, Christopher Nolan, I'll do Memento, his second movie ever directed. Big thing, but it's very similar. It's not the same movie, but it's very similar vibes to Eternal Sunshine.
Okay.
Because it's very memory-based.
Sure.
And also, it's a pretty dark movie, and I don't think we should be watching that movie going into our big episode in 2 weeks.
The Oscars.
We're covering the Oscars.
Because we've watched them all, so you don't have to.
We did. So I thought, oh my gosh, you know what movie? Because I'm not going to watch this movie. It's the only movie I'm not going to watch for the Oscars. But I've seen the first one, and it's Mission Impossible.
Is that nominated for an Oscar?
The latest one was nominated for like 2 Oscars.
I've seen none of them.
I know, and I've only seen the first one. So this is the start of a wonderful Mission Impossible binge watch. We're watching all of them, but we're going to start with the first one.
Okay.
Which
I'm
is
on board.
It's very fun.
Yeah, I mean, if they've made this many, and also... Well, I guess I'll just save this for the podcast.
Well, you love Top Gun, but yeah, we can talk about peak Tom Cruise movies, so...
I'm going to listen to Lady Gaga's Top Gun song a bunch leading up to this.
But yeah, that's we're gonna watch Mission Impossible next.
So everyone watch that for next week. But Crazy Stupid Love, a good movie. You've heard it here, and this is a good movie podcast. So thanks so much for listening. If you want to catch up with us and see all of it,
we're joining hands again.
Stop, just let me hold your hand.
The intro and the outro. You have alien souls trapped in you, people. The only way is to redo the acting of the aliens.
I'm just holding your hand because I get nervous I'm going to forget something.
Okay, well, you're holding my hand now.
Okay, follow us on Instagram at TIAGM Pod to see all the little clips and things that we post on there. And you can also listen on YouTube or wherever else that you want to listen. You can watch
Spotify,
on YouTube.
Amazon, Apple Podcast.
Exactly. So follow us and
Subscribe.
rate and subscribe.
Subscribe
And
is the
review.
big thing. So the subscribe is the biggest thing you can do.
Yeah. The biggest thing you could do is subscribe.
Yep.
All right. We'll see you all next week. Thanks so much to Kale Forbes for editing this podcast and making our theme song and featuring Austin Fry on vocals. And Carrie Pulley for making the logo. Stop laughing at me.
you just went bravado. What am I gonna do with that? Like I'm gonna act like that's normal?
Well, because it's referencing singing.
Oh yes, that's fair. Okay. Well, folks, we'll see you in the afterlife when the mothership takes us away.
We love you. Bye.
This is a good movie podcast with Katie and Joe.